I just wanna sit around all day and be a Nintendo slob. I don't wanna go to work, I don't wanna get no job. I just wanna sit around all day and be a Nintendo slob. I don't wanna go to work, I don't wanna get no job. I just wanna sit around all day and be a Nintendo slob. When I say the word Konami, what do you think of right now? These days, you probably think corporate greed, corporate abuse, just not good. But back in the day, 8-bit and 16-bit era, Konami was the shiznit. Basically, Capcom, Nintendo, Square, and Enix, all top-tier companies, and you knew you'd go to the local video store, look around, be like, what should I get? Well, you weren't sure, there are a lot of games, but you see that Konami logo on there, you know, pretty much guaranteed that it was money well spent, and you were about to have a weekend filled with high-octane home gaming goodness. The game starts with one of the most iconic developer logo intros ever. That shrill sound and humble graphic may seem underwhelming, but believe me, it was a sign of quality. And yes, the game was actually developed by LucasArts, published by Konami, and it uses the Zombies Ate My Neighbors engine, another awesome game made by LucasArts and Konami 2 years prior. After some scrolling text providing a simple plotline of good versus evil, you're greeted by a pretty awesome title screen. And if you still aren't convinced after seeing the Konami and LucasArts logos and sweet title screen, check out this opening cinematic. Oh yeah, and in case you haven't noticed, the music is freaking awesome. Consider me officially pumped. Released in North America in 1995 exclusively on the Super Nintendo, Metal Warriors is a side-scrolling action shooter where you pilot a mech and battle against the dictator Venkar Amon's forces. You have a suite of abilities that include an unlimited basic attack, jump jets, a shield you can hold or set down, and a lightsaber attack that has different animations depending on your directional input. Yes, a lightsaber! A lightsaber! The HUD is extremely clean, in that there is no HUD. Health is displayed on your mech. As you take more damage, the color drains from your machine and it begins sparking and smoking. Take enough damage and you lose the ability to attack or block. And you also cannot pick up power-ups. And it's a cool idea, but it can get frustrating because you may simply not be able to progress. Dead mech walking. One of the coolest things about this game is you can actually leave your mech. Kinda think Blaster Master. As the pilot, you only have a basic attack and jump jets, but you can always jump back into your mech, or even steal unmanned mechs. Now, as I said, you can leave your mech, but you cannot steal mechs that are currently manned. You must find an empty one. I don't know why, but that death song reminds me of Street Fighter. Sometimes you have to leave your mech to proceed and flip switches. But be careful, enemies can and will steal your mech. And let me tell you, it's a serious kick in the balls when it happens. Also, be careful not to accidentally destroy an empty mech that you may want to keep as a backup. Alternatively, you can destroy it to prevent enemies from having it. The game is fairly non-linear and has a pretty bare-bones map overlay. Environments are destructible, and you can even put visual damage on parts you can't destroy. Another nice touch is your jetpacks have a certain weight to them. Start free falling, and it will take a few seconds for your boosters to lift you back up. sadly, you can't crush little enemies under your giant mech boots. Hey, where you going? Get back here. And of course, you cannot have a 16-bit side-scrolling action game without power-ups. They'll throw you in a Turkish prison for such offenses. With no soap. It's science. Power-ups include bouncy bombs, grav boots, speed boost, and of course, no battle mech is complete without the ubiquitous rocket launcher. Are rocket launchers ever not cool? As you may have noticed, there are different pilotable mechs. The main starter mech is Havoc, but you also have Nitro, who can use a shield, a ball and chain melee attack, and rocket boots, but it cannot fly as long or high as Havoc. Prometheus, he's the buff boy of the group. He's slow and can't fly at all, but he has a flamethrower, fire shield, bombs he can float upwards, and a weird primary attack where you hold a button down and let go to create an AoE attack. Ballistic is a roly-poly little guy. It turrets up to shoot, has a shield, he can jump, and it has a build-up speed dash maneuver like a Metal Sonic. It kind of looks like the Destroyer droids from Star Wars. Okay, cool. I made my obligatory 2 pop culture references quota for the day. That'll get me all the subs. Wait, is this still recording? Spider's a weird one. It has a web of holding, can turn invisible, but has to remain immobile, and can climb walls and ceilings. But it freaking inverts the controls, so left is right and vice versa. And then there's Drac, or Drash, or Drashe. It has a downward spike attack and can fly, but otherwise, a whole bunch of meh. But is it all sunshine and sausage calzones? Nah, son. Aiming is slow. There aren't enough mechs or power-ups, and enemies can swarm and kill you quicker than you could say bulging sphincter parade. The game demands a lot from the player, but doesn't provide enough tools to reliably progress. And there isn't any way to save your game. Come on, Konami, it's 1995. Get with the times already, will ya? And look at this. I fell down a large gap, and because I don't have the right mech, I can't get out. My only hope is to leave my mech as a super weak pilot to get a new machine. But finding an empty one that hasn't been destroyed is exceedingly rare. And even if I do find one, oftentimes you need a mech to get a mech, because your pilot gun is too weak to destroy environments blocking the way. So I guess that's it. Either suicide, or this is my new life. I live here now. I really liked this game as a kid, but does it hold up? Well, yes and no. Metal Warriors does some interesting stuff. Being able to exit your mech, fly around, and take over other mechs in the environment is really awesome. Graphics, you have large sprites, pretty graphics. Animation, pretty solid as well. Sound design, well, music is great, but the tracks recycle way too much, and it becomes annoying. Sound effects are pretty bad, actually. There's a lot of like pew 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 kind of stuff going on. It's also extremely difficult, and it feels unfair, and there's no way to save your game. It's ridiculous. One thing I didn't mention in the review yet is it actually has multiplayer. It's a 1v1 split screen, like horizontal, and that's really cool actually, because you could choose your different mech, and different mechs sort of have different styles, and there are counters and whatnot. And one of the cool strategies of it is that when you find an empty mech in the environment, if you're in the middle of a battle and your mech is hurt, you could be like, well, I could take over this mech, it'll be full health, but I have to leave my mech to get to it, and that puts you at a big risk. Alternatively, you could destroy the mech so they can't get it. So a lot of risk reward mechanics there, super cool. But what's the bottom line review? Okay, first of all, my reviews are based on a traditional grading score, so like an 8 would be a B, 9 would be an A, 7 would be a C. And also, my retro reviews are going to be based on time and place. So if this game came out today, you'd be looking at like probably a 6. But 1995, by those standards, I'm gonna give Metal Warriors an 8. I was thinking about 7 or 7.5, but ultimately what raised it up a little bit was the sweet multiplayer and just the uniqueness of it. It feels different than other games at the time, and even today. So, Metal Warriors Super Nintendo gets an 8. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is my first review on my channel. I appreciate any and all feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly, and look forward to more. I already got plans for my next review. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a really weird game, and I'm excited. Also going to be new game reviews coming up, but I wanted to kind of teach myself how to do this stuff before I jump into new games. So thank you very much, guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye!